Fitness Pro Mentors community, welcome to another episode of the podcast. We are live with Australian million-dollar business fitness education sensation, Jono Petrohilos. Jono, welcome to the show, man. How you doing today?
I'm awesome. I was good anyway because I'm a huge fan of your show, and I was like, "Oh, it's going to be fun." But now I've got my own intro music, So I was like, "This is even better." Well, that's specifically for me. That's specifically for me, right?
That's right. I came in, I recorded in the studio just for you this morning. Like, this is a Jono beat right here, and I threw it down. I might use it again, but it was 100% for you, man.
Love it. Thank you, Brandon. I'm excited to be on and chat.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited because, so anyone that's listening to this, Jono has his own podcast, which we got to talk about at the end to make sure people can check out. But he had me on his show, and it kind of opened up this Pandora's box of me learning more about you. And you have really an incredible story from really everything from being a trainer to an educator to growing an education business to being, in my opinion, one of the largest in the field, especially in Australia, which is where you're from. So, if you're cool, man, can we start off with your origin story? Like, before we get into business entrepreneur stuff, how the heck did you become a trainer?
Yes, good question. So becoming a trainer was pretty organic for me because, at school, I was okay at school. I wasn't great, but I was okay. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I went to like the guidance counselor and they gave you a list of jobs, circle the ones you want. And the only ones I wanted were in fitness. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll get into fitness, and I'll go that pathway there. Studied really hard towards the end of my schooling days and was able to get into university. Just scraped in as an exercise physiologist. And my dream was actually to work in hospitals with cardiac rehab. All the subjects, I preferred the cardiac side of things as opposed to like the musculoskeletal rehab. So I finished uni and I was like, cool, let me go to a hospital and get a job, Went to a hospital, they're like, here's the application form. Just let us know you need to have at least, 5 years experience in working with high level clients that have, heart attacks and diabetes and, heart failure. And I was like, oh no, I have absolutely zero. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I was like, look, I'll start in the gym, start working in the gym and just tailor my clients, teach the oldies classes, make sure my PT clients are people that have diabetes and hypertension and heart failure and whatever may be. And then kind of got just like a bit, what's the word, jaded, I guess. I kind of got stuck in that rut, and I was working on the gym floor and, not even doing a little bit of PT, but more the gym floor stuff. The putting away the weights and the restocking the soda machines and the bathroom checks and important stuff. It's got to be done. But I was kind of like, this wasn't what I had in mind, while I was studying. And then an opportunity came up to run and actually, the pay was also really bad at this gym. The equivalent, let me see if I can put the equivalent. It was about 40,000 Australian dollars a year. Yeah. Right. So in American dollars, probably in those days, 20,000, 25,000, right. So kind of like the bare minimum kind of things. And then I was looking for a new job on the internet and one came up and it was like, hey, run your own boot camp, be your own boss. Most of our trainers make, I think it was $75,000 a year working 1 hour a day. And I was like, I'm not even making half of that, working full time. Let me see what's going on here. So, filled out the application and was lucky enough to get an interview because my resume was good on paper. Exercise physiology, was at university, had experience working in the gym. What was that, sorry?
Filled the soda machines.
Exactly. I exaggerated on the resume a bit. I said, instead of saying I was the head soda machine stocker, I was the head personal trainer because I was the only one there. Right. So I'd exaggerate that a bit. Got an interview. And the owners of the boot camp said, "Hey, we'll fly down to Sydney. We'll check out one of your boot camps." Now there was a problem there. I wasn't running any boot camps because I exaggerated on my resume. Right. I was training 2 people at once. That's a boot camp, right? It's basically a boot camp.
Technically, yeah.
Technically, I think I was running like a core strengthening class. That's a boot camp, right? I exaggerated a bit there, but I was lucky because at that sort of time, one of the trainers at the gym who was teaching the boxing class was going away. He said, "Hey, Jono, can you teach my boxing class for the next couple of weeks?" I was like, yep, beautiful. I'll do that. And then I'll get the people to come in and look. Taught my first ever boxing class. The owners of the boot camp didn't watch this one. And I thought it went all right. But at the end of the class, one of the participants came up to me and they were like, Jono, how long are you doing this class for? I was like, next 2-3 weeks, how come? They're like, it was just really, really easy, like I wasn't even sweating. And, when the regular instructor does it, my heart rate's up. There's all this energy. It's exciting. It's fun. Yours just didn't have that. And I was like, damn. But worked at it, came back the next week and it was a little bit better. Right. Worked at it a little bit more, went to some other classes, went on YouTube, did the usual sort of stuff. The third week, ran it again, the week that the boot camp owners came down. And it was like, still to this day, the best class I've ever done. I don't know how I did it. It was just all in my mind and it just best class ever. So got the job running the boot camp, right? And we get to this boot camp side of things. Now I've got this job working at the boot camp. There's like 75 different locations all across Australia and New Zealand. And you were ranked on how good you were based on your retention, basically, right? How many of your clients would come back. If you were ranked number one, exactly. Yep. Number one. If you were ranked number one, means you were the best. If you were ranked 75, means you were the worst. Take a guess what you think I was ranked, Brandon.
75? Or number one?
Bang on. Yeah.
Oh, no.
No. 75. Because I basically lied and got lucky to get the job,
Yeah,
so
of course.
got this boot camp, but didn't know what I was doing. And I had to have this meeting at the end of the year. All 75 different boot camp instructors would go to this conference. And I had to have a meeting with the franchise owners. And they were like, Jono, what's going on? You're coming 75th out of 75. And I basically just came up with every excuse in the book, I was like, it's not my fault. It's the competition. It's like there's all these 24-hour gyms that are popping up and, there's the internet and there's, so easy to become a personal trainer, it's not my fault. And I was like, also, like, it's the sales and marketing. You guys are like, the franchise owners, you're meant to be doing, the sales and marketing. The marketing you're doing is crap. You're not getting me enough leads and the ones that you're getting me are bad. And I was like, also, yeah, exactly. And I was like, also, it's the weather. I live in Sydney. It's not the Gold Coast where it's, it's good weather every single day. It gets cold in Sydney. It gets rainy. People aren't going to come to a boot camp in winter in Sydney. And the franchise owners were like, all right, Jono, we got some good news and we got some bad news. They said the bad news is as a boot camp instructor, you suck. You're coming 75th. You've seen the charts, right? But the good news is you can actually do something about it. Because at the moment, you're sitting there blaming everybody else but yourself. Maybe it's not the competition's fault you suck. Maybe it's your fault you haven't done enough to be better than the competition. What courses have you done? What upskilling have you done? And I was like, I get my 20 CECs every 2 years. And they're like, Johnny, that's the bare minimum. Like, of course, if you do the bare minimum, you're going to be down the bottom. What do you expect? And they were like, also, the marketing. They're like, okay, does our marketing suck? Or do you suck at sales and that you can't convert the leads? What sales books have you read? What business coaches have you hired? What marketing conventions have you been to? And I was like, oh, I got to do that too, do I? And they were like, also, like, if our marketing sucks so much, why don't you go out and do some of your own marketing? And I was like, that's a good point. And they were like, the weather. They're like, Jono, you can hire out like a school hall or a church hall for like $20. You can solve your biggest problem for $20, but you're too busy sitting here blaming everyone else but yourself. And they were like, what we want you to do, Jono, is, your position's safe for the next 12 months. But what we want you to do is for the next 12 months, don't blame anyone else. Like if something comes up, take responsibility, say, hey, this didn't go the way I planned. It's my fault. What did I do wrong? Or what could I have done better? And then what can I do in the future to make sure that situation doesn't happen again? There's only so many times you can stuff up, Jono, before you realize the right way to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it's a good point. And even there were a few little things. This convention like changed my life, right? Because there were a few key things. There was number one, I heard my owner's story, the owner of the boot camp story of the franchises, right? And she was telling me her story. She was like, a high school dropout. She was like good looking, fit woman, right? And you'd look at her and be like, oh yeah, it's easy for her. She's good looking, she's a model. Life's easy for her, this and that. But she kind of told her story, and she's like, I got bullied at high school because I was the dumb one. Like, yeah, I was fit, but everyone thought I was dumb, and it wasn't worth trying because I'd try and I would fail. So everyone would tease me. So I'm like, it's not even worth trying. I'm just going to be the dumb person and whatever.
Yep.
So went through school. Dropped out of school, got a job at Valley Girl. It's like maybe like a Walmart, I guess you'd say over there.
Sure. Yeah.
So she finished school. Dropped out, got a job at it's called a checkout chick here in Australia.
Okay.
Do you have that as well in Canada? Checkout chick?
I don't know if it's the same name, but yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
The cashier.
So it's
yeah.
like cashier. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're a bit more fancier over there, but yeah, the cashier, exactly. And she got fired from the cashier at Walmart, and she was kind of like, man, I must be a loser. Like, well, I get fired as a cashier at Walmart. Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't want to get too much into her story, but she basically started, got qualified as a trainer, started up 1 boot camp, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before she know it, she's got 75, and she was making $75,000 a week because each location would pay her about $1,000. She's making $75,000 a week without even running the freaking boot camp, and that blew my mind. Like coming from my family. My mum's a psychologist, my dad's a teacher, educated people. But they go and work for someone else and make $70,000 a year. I'm like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
So that kind of blew my mind. And then even at this convention, because all the trainers knew what we were ranked, right? Because there was a chart that said, Jono. I don't think you'd do it in today's society, but back in those, you'd had number 1, number 2, and number 75 and whatever, right?
Right. Of course.
And when I first went to this convention, like I sat down just with a bunch of guys, that I felt I'd fit in with, at the table. There were 4 or 5 of us, and everyone was, number 68, number 71, maybe number 59 was there, those sort of people. And I vibed with them. I was like, okay, yeah, these people seem like me. And then you had to change tables, sort of halfway through. And then I ended on a table with like number 1 and number 3 and number 7, and I still remember at the time I was nervous to go to this convention, A, because I was ranked 75, but also B, because I thought like everyone would be super good looking and fit, and I'd be the smallest and the skinniest and the ugliest, all that sort of stuff. And when I went there and I saw the table of the top people that I ended up sitting up with, they were no better looking or fitter than me or anything, but the difference was in the conversation. I still remember some of those conversations. Someone was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get these little gifts for my clients. And I was like, gifts for your clients? What the hell's wrong with this person? Clients pay you, And then someone else was like, oh, yeah, I can't wait. There's this course that I'm going to do. Charles Pollock. Do you know Charles Pollock? Is he big in Canada as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. So, I'm going to do this Charles Poliquin course. It's $2,000. I'm like, spending $2,000 on a course? You've already got your qualifications. What's wrong with these people? But looking back now, it's like, you see, I was able to look back and be like, okay, so if you want to be in the top, these are the kind of things you do. If you want to be down the bottom, these are the kind of things you do, So, yeah, and that sort of taught me a lesson there in terms of like, who you hang out with really as well. And I still remember I went back. I used to, every weekend in Australia, I used to go to this pub, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. And after that convention, I was super motivated, went back to this pub and I had a look around the pub and I was like, hold on, they're all bums in this pub. I'm like, maybe if I'm hanging around this pub every weekend as well, maybe I'm a bum too. So I put my beer down, left that pub and haven't gone back there. But long story short, that kind of year, I was like, right, I'm going to stop blaming everyone else, take responsibility. So first thing I did is like a boot camp kind of course. how to get better at a boot camp. Did that course. It cost, I don't know, those days, 3, 4, $500. But as a result, was able to get some really good workouts, learn some really good skills, and my retention got better, and also pick up a few new clients. And I'm like, this is great. Let me do another one of these. 3 months later, I did another one. And in those days, there were only like 2 boot camp courses in Australia, So I was like, what am I going to do now? I'll do a kettlebell course. I'll do a sales course. And I just did a heap of different courses. And each course I did, I got better. Surprise, surprise, right? Sounds dumb saying it now, but like, back in that mindset, it's a different mindset when you're kind of down there, But anyway, sort of went all in on the education, but also the responsibility. I still remember this one story, right? Because one of the activities the franchise owners got me to do is they were like, all right, write down a list of everybody that didn't sign back up for the next round, and write the reason why they didn't sign up and why that was your fault, right? Because before I would blame everyone. I would be like, here's an example, right? There was this one lady that didn't sign up because she played soccer in the winter. So she's like, Jono, I love your boot camp. It's great, but I play soccer and the training is on the same nights. And previously, my mindset was, well, not my fault. She plays soccer. What could I do? The franchise owners were like, well, no, Jono, it's your fault. In a nice way. It wasn't a blame, but it was kind of like, look, Jono, it's your fault because you didn't make your boot camp a better experience than her soccer experience, right? She's choosing soccer over your boot camp. If you made your boot camp a better experience, she would tell her soccer team, sorry, ladies, love soccer, signed up for this boot camp. It's awesome. I'm doing it instead. And I was like, okay. And then that situation arose again, during that next year. A woman was like, oh, I love this, but I got soccer. I can't sign up for the next round. I was like, okay, that's fine. Let's see what happens. Gave myself a little goal, and then when it was time to sign back up, she's like, you know what? I'm going to stop soccer and I'm going to keep doing boot camp. And I was like, all right. And then I took it to the next level because there was a lady that couldn't sign up because she was moving interstate. She got a better job, so she was moving interstate. All right. And I was like, okay, here's a good challenge for me. I'm going to make my boot camp so freaking good that when it's time to sign up, she's going to cancel that higher paying job interstate because, you can get another job anywhere, right? But a boot camp like mine, I'm the one in the world you can get, right? And what do you think, Brandon? Did I do it?
No.
Bang on. No, yeah. You're right.
But I like you trying. I think it's a great idea.
Well, but this is the thing, right? I still had my best round ever. Every single client signed back up except for her because I put all that energy in. And my take on that is if you go in with that mindset, I'm going to make this boot camp so freaking good that someone would turn down a higher paying job interstate to be here. With that mindset, it's going to be a good boot camp. It's kind of like if that result happens or not is kind of irrelevant,
Yeah.
But anyways, long story short, went back to that same convention 12 months later. Now, what do you think I was ranked, Brandon?
Number 1?
Bang on.
That's
number
awesome.
1, right? And then, the next year again, number 1 as well. Also opened up a second location. So I had now, 2 locations running. I think it went from 20 clients to 150 clients. The retention rate went from like 30% to like, 100%.
That's awesome.
And then from there, then it's kind of like fitness education from there. But that's kind of the fitness story. That's my background in the fitness space.
So I want to, before we jump, because I want to talk about the fitness education and how you grew that business, but I think there's a really interesting lesson in there that you've alluded to. But I think a lot of trainers, a lot of professional people in general get to that crossroad that you talked about, and sometimes are perhaps unaware that they're even at that crossroad where they're just getting by. They're making just enough money to pay for everything. They tell everyone they're happy. That's great. But they're really, they're really not, right? They really do struggle. They're worried about paying their taxes. They're worried about if their car breaks down, but they're good and you're good and I'm just going to get by. But then when you become aware that there's another layer of perhaps you're incompetent at that skill right now, but now you're consciously incompetent and you can go, oh my gosh, I can either embrace this and take this hard work on and make a change and go that direction because I want that $75,000 a week like that person's getting, or I can go, but they're just lucky. I'm just going to keep
Yeah.
doing my thing. And I think that you taking that 1-year challenge from going from the worst to the best is absolutely fantastic. It takes a special drive. I think it takes a special set of eyes to take a quick second to realize where you are and make that shift happen. But then it's fun because that after that initial huge, stressful, hard change, it just gets easier. Because it's just like,
Yeah.
next, please, next, please, next, please. I'm going that direction.
Yeah, 100%. And there's a couple things. It's kind of like I was lucky in a way in that I was so bad and that I was 75. Because it's kind of like if I was, if I was 30, I wouldn't have changed. I
Right.
would have been like, yeah, I'm average. What can you do? You're either good or you're bad. I'm okay. But because I was 75, I had like no choice. And I remember this as well. I remember like I went to the bank to get a home loan. And they were like, sorry, Jono, we can't give you a home loan. And I was, okay, well, I just got to save up some more money. They're like, no, with this salary, you're never going to get a home loan. You need to get a higher paying job. And I was kind of like, man, I'm a loser. What woman's going to marry me? My friends are going to think I'm a loser. I gotta, I was in that point where I kind of had to do something,
Yeah.
And that's where I think I was lucky in a way, where if you kind of don't get to rock bottom, it's hard to have that motivation unless you're super driven, and then you're like, all right, cool, I can do it there. And I think you hit the nail on the head as well, where it's really hard at the start because you almost need to admit that you're bad at what you do. It's kind of like me as a personal trainer then. It was kind of my identity. I'm a personal trainer. That's who I am. I need to admit that I'm bad at this. And that can be hard to do, but it also depends how you look at it. Like, I don't think you should look at it and be like, oh, I'm bad, I'm a loser, blah, blah, blah. But you can look at it, hey, I'm currently not good at this thing. Either I'm not naturally good at it or I haven't had the experience. That's okay. I can't go back and change things now, but this is where I am. What can I do to do better?
Well,
Great.
I love
Now I
that
can get
list.
better.
I love that list because you literally couldn't get worse.
Yeah.
Right? Like you literally
Exactly.
could, anything would take you up. But I think that mediocrity you said, if you were at the 30, that you might have been like, they're just really good, but I'm fine. And you might
Yeah.
not have made that change.
Yep. Bang on. Agree 100%.
So listen, so we got to shift now because this is where your story gets really interesting, right? So you clearly demonstrated that you went into this thing, you kind of just lied about a bunch of stuff, you made some stuff happen, you couldn't get any worse, but then you became the best and then opened a second location, started making some money, had some processes, higher retention. That's great. And now that entire bootcamp business process helped you evolve into several different things. And in fact, in your original story, talking about you need to hang around better people. If you're hanging around slums, you're going to become a slum. You really, I mean, if anyone investigates, I mean, I think that I love your story because you're one of those people that I think are true success stories that are kind of under the radar that most people don't hear about. Because if you look at your Instagram, you invested into all the high level expensive coaching and Gary Vee and all these guys so you could continue to learn as much as you can to springboard into fitness education online and becoming one of Australia's lead educator. So I would love if you're open to it. How did that transition happen?
Yeah, for sure. So boot camp was going really well, and a very time efficient model as well, because I was basically running one session a day. It was just like, run one session a day. I had 2 locations. I'd have another trainer run the other one. So, that was going well, and I had a bit of time on my hands. And I was getting really into, personal development and, business and that sort of stuff. And I read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Have you read that one, Brandon?
Yes, very good.
Yep, classic. Yep.
Yeah.
And he was speaking about kind of passive income. And I was like, okay, what can I do for passive income? And I was always doing a heap of courses anyway, and it kind of all came together where I was like, hold on, I'm doing these courses. And it got to the point where I felt I could put together a better course than the ones I was going to. Like I'd always take something out of a course, but let's say I went to like in a few different ways. Let's say I went to a marketing course, right? If it was a general marketing course, I'm like, I could put one together specifically for personal trainers because half the stuff here isn't applicable for personal trainers. I could put one together just for personal trainers. And then even if I went to a personal trainer one, it would be kind of general. Like it's great if you're a personal trainer in the gym, but if you're running your outdoor boot camp, you can't do half of these. And the exercises as well. Like you go to a kettlebell course, yeah, great. They'll teach you how to do, Turkish get-ups and snatches and whatever. Man, you're running a boot camp with, in the park. You're not going to have 20 kettlebells to give a person a kettlebell each. And it's like, you can't really teach that. Well, it's harder to teach that in that kind of environment, So I'm like, I could put together something just for boot camps. Connected with my business partner as well at that stage, Travis. He was a trainer that was training for me in my boot camp, and a good trainer. And I was like, let's see if we can put something together that could help other trainers. Because also on top of that, other trainers would kind of ask, Jono, you've got all these clients, you've got 2 locations. How the hell do you do it? And I'm like, well, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I've got to put this together in a course, So, wanted to put together a course, but I wasn't a tech guy. I was a fitness guy. And I was like, how the hell do you put together an online course? And, Googled it or whatever. And, someone gave me a quote for a website of $20,000. And I was like, oh, that's a big gamble, for something that I don't know if it's going to take off. And then I was like, all right, I forgot about it for a bit, and I was scrolling through Facebook. And this is back in like 2014, right? And an ad came up for an ebook, purchase his ebook. And I was like, oh yeah, I like to read. I'll get this ebook. And in those days, I thought an ebook had to be like a Kindle, Amazon kind of thing,
Yeah.
And I purchased this ebook, and I was like, hold on, this is just a Microsoft Word document saved as a PDF. I'm like, it was good info. Don't get me wrong, it was good info. But I'm like, from the tech side of things, I'm pretty sure this person just, went to I'm a technological dunce. I know how to go to Microsoft Word, press save as, PDF, done, So I was like, maybe I can put together an ebook, So me and Travis put together this ebook, and it was a sick ebook. It was everything you need to run the perfect boot camp. It was like, I think it was like 18. It was not even an ebook. It was a manual. Like it was solid, right? And I was like, all right, this is a good course, but there was one issue. It just looked like a Microsoft Word document. Right?
Same as a PDF.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I got to make it look better, And I took a couple nights off work because I was still teaching in gyms and teaching classes and whatever, And I was like, I'll take a couple nights off work to make it look better. And took a couple of nights off and fiddled around and made it look worse, actually. Because if you're not good at Microsoft Word, there's indents, there's, that different fonts and, there's breaks all over the place. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? So I went on my old friend Google, tried to search for some tutorials and stumbled across this website, Fiverr. And I was like, all right, I can get anything I want done for $5, and I got distracted actually because I was just looking at all the weird things people do for $5. And there was one guy on there that said he'd slap himself in the face for $5. And I was like, what the hell is this? But I couldn't resist. So I was like, so I bought it, and he sent it back like straight away. Right. And I was like, oh, this is good service. Yeah. And it was solid. Right. He didn't hold back. He really slapped himself in the face. I was like, this was a good use of $5. And then I got thinking, I was like, hold on. He didn't personalize that. He didn't say, hey, Jono. He just slapped himself in the face. And then I went back to the video, and I realized he sent me an unlisted YouTube video. And then I checked the views on that. He had 100,000 views on this video. So this guy slapped himself in the face once, and obviously Fiverr take a cut. I don't know how that, but either way, let's not ruin a good story with the finer details, right? This guy slapped himself in the face once, sold it for $5, sold it 100,000 times. This guy made $500,000 passive income, slapping himself in the face once.
That's
and I was
insane.
kind of like, man, if this guy, and then like, no offense to the guy, but like, he wasn't, Mr. Charismatic, he had no personality, no charisma, no sense of humor, could barely speak English, just slapped himself in the face once and made $500,000. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm an exercise physiologist. What the hell is my excuse? So that motivated me, but also that taught me, hold on, I can also add some videos to this ebook as well. Let me just upload some videos, put them on YouTube as unlisted, That's free for me. People can only see it if they've got that link there. And also I paid someone to edit the ebook to make it look good as well while I was buying these silly things on Fiverr.
$5.
Um, but then I had like a solid ebook. The content was good. I'm not going to say the editing was amazing. I paid someone $5 on Fiverr. You kind of get what you pay for, right? But it looked better than just a Microsoft Word document, right? And I
Yeah.
now had this course that was, good course. I only spent $5 on $10 if you include the $5 for the guy slapping himself in the face. So I spent basically $10 production on it, and it was a good course. Was able to get it registered with Fitness Australia, which is the equivalent to like a CanFit Pro or a NASM or something like that, for 10 CECs. I would sell it for $200, right? And then it was this kind of gets to a different side of things, but even just with that side there, that was kind of the origin there. Was like, great, I've got this skill set. Let me get this skill set together in some organized information that can be sold, and then let's sell this thing for $200-300 with like very little tech, production, editing, anything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, I mean, when you start something like that, I mean, again, you're kind of coming back to a character trait that you clearly have where you figure things out, like where you want to get, and you reverse engineer, like, okay, I want this thing to not look like crap. Well, I'm going to find this guy that slaps himself in the face. Maybe he does some editing too, and I'm $10 in, I mean, you've got that trait down, which is absolutely like just incredible. But I mean, we got to take this one step further because you've clearly created product, you've sold it. And now, I mean, I didn't know this, but you posted up a little sales copy post, and I know you were trying to get people to join your webinar, which I'm joining because I want to check it out. But you took this business to a 7-figure-a-year business with multiple course products, and that clearly showcases some smart choices you've made between marketing, sales, and development. I mean, creating a product like that, I don't want to sound bad, but it's straightforward if you have processes.
Yeah.
Selling it, distributing it, and getting it out there and marketing it is an entirely different beast. So how did you go about doing that?
Yes, awesome question. So, at the start, there was an element of luck, right? You make your own luck, but where I got lucky, no, let's go a step further. Where I was smart is by getting it registered with Fitness Australia, right? Because it's kind of like I could try and do it on my own, right? And I'm sure I could have, or I maybe could have, but it's kind of like if I get it registered with Fitness Australia, there's like a bit of a stamp of approval. You don't need it, but it kind of helps. It's like CanFit Pro. Someone's going to buy a course. If it's not CanFit Pro approved, I'm not saying you won't. Like obviously, if it's Charles Poliquin, okay, you're going to buy it whether it's CanFit Pro CECs or not.
Right. Yeah.
If it's if it's Stuart McGill, with some of his back stuff, you're going to buy it whether it's CanFit Pro approved or not. But Jono down the street, who is this guy? Oh, it's CanFit Pro approved. How bad can it be? It's a minimum kind of standard there. And I need to get my CECs anyway, so it's that there. But what's more important was the exposure, right? I think Australia and Canada's probably similar in terms of Canada's probably a little bit bigger, but either way, I think Fitness Australia has about 20,000 personal trainers registered with them, right? That are going to their website every day and looking for courses and getting their CCs and whatever. And I was where I got lucky was in those days when it started off. It was literally just a list of 500 courses. You go on their page. Here's a list of 500 courses you can do, listed in alphabetical order. And my course was called 4 Steps to a Successful Bootcamp with the number 4. So it was listed number 1 on there, right? It wasn't a planned thing. It wasn't an SEO thing. It was just dumb luck, right? So because of that, I would get a couple people purchase it a month organically. Not a lot, 2, maybe 3 on a good month,
Yeah.
And but the thing with that, there were 2 key things there. Number 1, it showed proof of concept, right? It opened my mind again. Hold on. There's people out there that are just going to go to a website and buy this course because it's got a good name and a good description for $200 without me doing anything. So it showed proof of concept, but also the feedback. Because I was really scared at the start. I'm a confident guy, right? But I was like, I sold this course. I was still scared. On the feedback I got back was going to be like, "You're a scam artist. You charged me $200 for a Microsoft Word document." Because I did like realistically, I charged someone $200 for a Microsoft Word document. That's a way you can look at it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Another way to look at it is I charged them $200 for like the best business advice they're ever going to get in their life. But you can look at it either side of the fence, right? So I was really scared. But once I got that good feedback, I was like, okay, I'm onto something. And also it's kind of like most of the people I knew in the fitness space were in Sydney, Australia, right? When I was selling this course online, someone's buying it from Perth, from New Zealand, and I was like, okay, there's, people from all over the Australia and New Zealand kind of space that really love this info. I'm onto something. And that kind of motivated me there to get deeper into the sales and marketing, because what I realized is it's worlds apart online and face to face. You're running a face to face fitness business. Yeah, it's kind of like it's hard not to have at least a few clients. People walk past, you're grown up in the area, you do some networking, you got some friends, they tell their friends. It's different online, and especially with like a niche like personal trainers, because it's like, let's say you're selling to general public, or even a niche in like the fitness field. Let's say you're working with seniors, right? Or older adults. They're going to tell all their friends about it, and all their friends are going to go and train with you. It doesn't really work like that in the fitness space, because it's kind of like, hey, you might have some competitors that you don't want to tell about, or maybe like you don't have a lot of friends in the space. It's like you're the only personal trainer. So it's a bit different there. But anyway,
Yeah.
went all in on marketing. The first thing, the first thing I did actually was reach out to my mentors, the boot camp owners. And I was kind of like, hey, I got this course. There's a couple people buying it. They love it. But, how the hell do I get it in front of more people? And they were like, all right, what you need to do is go all in on email marketing. Right. Still today, this is good advice, but this is going back in 2014 when email marketing was even more powerful and social media wasn't as prevalent as it is today. Right.
Yep.
But they were like, go all in on email marketing. Here's a $5,000 course. They actually gave it to me. They were like, hey, here's a $5,000 course, go and log in and do it. And it was like the best course I've ever done marketing wise. It was every trick in the book for for email marketing. And I was like, all right, let me try this email marketing stuff. Started to send out emails, because I had a little bit of an email list, because I had people that inquired and didn't buy, or people that bought one course but didn't buy the second course. And also I'd started up a Facebook group at that stage as well. And I'd kind of invited, other trainers, and they'd invited their friends, and then a few organic. And, I'd ask for the email when people join the Facebook group, and I have a free course that I give people. So I was able to sort of scrounge up a little bit of an email list, and I would send out emails every week. And then I'd start to make sales every single week. And I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, okay, I've got a few coming in organically. Now I'm also, sending out an email, making a couple of sales every week. Not a lot once again, and at this stage, I think I had a few different courses. I'd packaged them. So it was now about $500 for a course, right? So it's kind of like, even if you sell 2 courses a week on email, there's $1,000, pretty passively, so it's still, good kind of money there. And it got to the point, we're making maybe $5,000 a month doing pretty much nothing, just with a Facebook group and sending out a couple of emails a week, and there was no work to be done because it's 100% online course,
Yeah.
and I was kind of like, what if we actually did some work? What if we actually put some effort into this? What could it be? And I kind of realized, well, it really depends on this email list. It's like the more people I have on this email list, the more sales I'm making. So how can I just build this email list? And did what I did. Went to Google, listened to podcasts, whatever. And the answer still today, I think, but especially back then as well, was Facebook ads. Was basically like, hey, you can run Facebook ads, and you get leads for, in those days, like a couple bucks. Get your thing out there, get leads, and because I had the back end system, I was like, if I can just get people on my email list, I'm going to make sales. So let me put out a Facebook ad. So tried to do it on myself and failed horribly. So went and invested in a Facebook ads guy, $5,000. But probably the best $5,000 I've spent on, especially in those days there. because was able to learn the ins and outs of Facebook ads, and then just had leads pouring in. And this was a big mistake I made as well. I'd put about $50 a week on Facebook ads, and I think leads, I can't remember exactly, but let's even call it $5, $5
Yeah.
a lead, right? So if I put $50 on, I would get 10 leads, right? And 1 in 10 would buy. So I would put $50 on a Facebook ad, and I would make $500, and I would get 9 leads that would probably sign up later.
It's
All
perfect.
right. Perfect. But the mistake I made is I just kept it at $50 because I was scared to
Oh.
invest more. Like
Right.
I could have scaled up. I should have put,
Yes.
if I could have put $500 on those ads, I would have got 100 leads. I would have got 10 sales.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would be in I'd be running Fitness Australia now. I'd be bigger than Fitness Australia if I did that. But anyway, you live and you learn. It was good enough in the. Oh, actually, sorry, I missed a step there. I would get leads, but I wouldn't get sales actually.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I skipped forward. So I was able to get a heap of leads, but I wasn't getting sales. And I think the leads was so. I thought the leads was. I was making the money back in email marketing, but I wasn't really able to have like a direct pipeline or a direct funnel. If that makes sense. I was like,
Yeah.
right, I'll put $50 in. I'll get 10 leads. One or two people is going to sign up next week, but I don't know where they come from last week or a year ago, or it wasn't a direct pathway. And I was like, wow, what's going on? Like, and why isn't anyone buying straight away? Like they're putting their details in, why aren't they buying, And then I did some more research, and I found that the easier way to get people to sign up straight away is via a phone call. If you're just doing emails, okay, that's all right. But it's more a long-term game. If you can get that person on the phone and actually have a conversation with them, they're more likely to sign up. So then invested another $5,000 in like how to get good at phone sales, and got good at phone sales. And then that kind of opened the ticket there, where it was like, right, now I've got a good funnel. Now it's like it was that basic funnel I mentioned there. So if I put X amount of dollars in, I'm going to get X amount of leads. I'm going to call those leads. At least one is going to sign up, and then more are going to sign up later. That was kind of like, once I had that, the rest just kind of fell into place because I was able to scale up as much as possible. My email list just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, kept putting out more and more courses. Also was able to do something similar with Fitness Australia, where I could pay them X amount of dollars. They would send out an email for me. It would be a similar system. I wouldn't just send out an email saying, hey, buy my course. It would send an email out saying, here's a course, enter your details to inquire. So I was building my list that way there as well. And that's the genesis of it. It probably got to, I would say, just doing that, maybe $300,000 a year, give or take.
It's amazing.
Just by Facebook ads, phone calls, email, and Facebook group, and Fitness Australia, and a few organically there. And then from there, it was just picking off the different things one by one. Then it was like, all right, cool. Now I've got some money coming in. Let me reinvest some of this in the business. Let me redo my website. Okay, great. Now let me put some money in SEO. Okay, great. Now let me put some money in Google Ads. Okay, great. Now let me do some work on Instagram. Okay, great. Now, let me hire some virtual assistants so I'm not working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, great. Let me run some webinars. Okay, great. Okay, let me add a membership site. Okay, great. Okay, let me add a coaching program. Okay, great. Okay, let me hire some staff. Okay, great. It was just like I could go step by step by step by step. But the genesis of it is essentially I had a good system for bringing leads in. I knew that I've got something where if I just do this every single week, I'm going to get a bunch of leads coming in. I had a system that I knew that would convert a percentage of those leads. If I just do this, a percentage of those leads are going to buy on the front end. And then I also had the back end. How I know that most people aren't going to buy on the front end, but here's how they can sign up on the back end. And because I had a few different courses and coaching programs and whatever as well, like it's not just the one sale. You could buy my boot camp course and then come back 6 months later and buy my kettlebell course, and then come six months later and buy my social media course. So that's essentially the genesis of it. I think is, in my opinion, it's just that the process of turning cold traffic into money And yeah, turning cold traffic into money, I think that's the main one, because then you're building your warm list on the back end. Because the warm list is easier. Let's be honest. It's easier to sell to people that, already follow you or already know you. That's the easy part. But it's kind of like, well, how do you build your following? What I was able to do is essentially use Facebook ads to get these cold people that have never heard of me to ideally buy. But if they didn't buy, at least they've heard of me and they'll be more likely to buy later on.
It's incredible, man. I love it. I mean, one of the things, I mean, as you know from when we spoke, the mentorship that we do for our trainers is trying to help one-on-one trainers scale and grow. And we don't talk about paid traffic at the very beginning because we're trying to get people thinking about building the organic skills first, making some money, getting to a point where when you do the paid traffic, it's logical because you're prepared to have the conversation with that cold lead warm to hot. We got to build those skills first.
Yeah.
But the thing that you said that I think is like so critical that was like an initial step that taught you to take another skill to figure things out was you had the KPI, the key performance indicator of that you were getting 10 people and you weren't converting any. So then you figured out, well, I need to convert one. And if I can convert one, I'm getting 90% return, which is absolutely incredible. And then just doing that more and more. This whole thing that you're saying, which I love, comes down to numbers and looking at the numbers, reverse engineering what you need, and then figuring it out. And I mean, look where you are now. I mean, you're a kingpin. You're the GOAT.
We'll bang on it. There we go. And I'll add on to that as well. It's kind of like, because I run ads for personal trainers now as well.
Yeah.
But there's a few prerequisites, right? I'll only run the ad for the personal trainer if they have a good offer, right? If you're just, hey, it's, $70 an hour, maybe at the gym, or, it's $10, for the boot camp, maybe at the park, it doesn't work. Right. It only really works if it's like, hey, I've got an offer. I've got this 10-week challenge. It's $50 a week for 10 weeks. You get 5 sessions a week. You also get a home program. You also get, this basic, like, you need to have that offer in place first. And then also the sales system. If someone inquires, you need to know, okay, well, what am I going to say to this person? And it's if you haven't done a lot of sales, man, it's hard, trying to sell to a stranger off a Facebook ad. It's like, get good first with warm people, get good at, your friends, your family, referrals, bring a friends, walk-ins, people that have come to you, that's get good at that first. So then when you get to the harder stuff, you've already got some runs there. If you just go straight to Facebook ads, if you don't have that offer and the sales technique, and I guess the back end's maybe a bonus, because you can kind of make money on the front end on Facebook ads. But if you don't have the back end, you're just leaving so much on the table. It's like you'll make a little bit of money on the front end, and that might be worth it if that client stays with you for months and years and that sort of thing. But like most of the money in Facebook ads is the people that don't sign up, because you're building your following, and then they'll become a warm person.
Yeah, which leads into where everyone has to check this out. Like, I think this is a great spot to slowly put a pin in it, Jono, but you've built this incredible Facebook group for fitness education online that has over 15,000 people. And I think it's absolutely incredible because you've really curated this social media brand farm to collect all the leads to come in. And you get to have a conversation, build a community, talk to these people, but over time consistently offer them opportunities to help them where they're struggling. It's a business opportunity for you to take these people who don't know you to become cold to warm to hot, but concurrently at the same time support people, because even people that don't buy your stuff get a tremendous amount of value.
Yeah, 100%.
I love it. Jono, listen, I got to say, like, this is awesome. And I'm going to say this now to hold us accountable, but I want to talk to you maybe off camera another day about some stuff, because I got some ideas I'd love to bounce off of you, because you've done some incredible stuff. But our audience here, they're personal trainer entrepreneurs and they're gym owners who have trainers, primarily one-on-one training business. With all of the wisdom you've curated from mentors and going through the boot camp style business to creating fitness education online and other businesses that you've created, do you have any words of wisdom that you would throw out there to a one-on-one trainer trying to hit their first 10K month or even going beyond that?
Good question. So the best advice I would give for someone in that situation is I would do a couple different things. Number one, I would say set the goal. It's kind of like, all right, what do you want to do? You want to hit 10K months? Okay, great. But also like, how do you want to get there? Like, is it great you want to hit 10K months, and you're happy to work, 5 a.m. till 9 p.m.? That's fine. If you do, that's fine. Great. You want to do it however way possible. That was me when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s and I had, no life, no responsibilities, no family, no girlfriend, like you can do it. But, if you're 45, you're married with 2 kids, maybe you can't quite do that, but either way, set the goal, how you want to do it. And then I would just find someone that's either been there before and done it and pay them to show you how to do it. Or even if they haven't done it, as long as they've got a system. So let's use, I don't know your specific program, Brandon, but I think you anyway. I think you have done it. So it's kind of like, hey, if you want to, go and like, if that's your goal, it's you're like, hey, here's what I want to do. Here's how I do it. Go and reach out to someone like Brandon that's done it and just follow that step by step by step. Because it's just the shortcut. That's everything with my story has just been like a shortcut. It's like, all right, I can try and figure out how to do this boot camp stuff myself, or I can pay someone to teach me and I can learn in 3 months. It would have taken me 3 years, All right, I can try and learn this Facebook. I'd probably still trying to be learn Facebook ads on my own if I didn't pay that person $5,000, And then I'd probably still be trying to learn these sales tips. But if you can find someone else and pay them, it just shortcuts that journey. Tony Robbins has a good quote. I can't remember it exactly, but it's essentially like you can find someone that's got 10 years experience in doing what you want to do, and they can teach you most of that in 10 weeks. So you got 2 choices. You can go and spend 10 years trying to do it, or you can learn that in 10 weeks and then do the next thing, and then do the next thing, and then do the next thing. So what can take someone 30 years, you could probably learn in a year if you just did that. Yeah, you'd have to pay, but it's kind of like you condense that time in there and then you reap the reward. Yeah.
Yeah, you get the ROI. I mean, you absolutely do, for sure. And that's the thing. And in my little sciencey community, I have a lot of people who will ask me, like, well, you've done all this stuff. Look at all the things you came up with. I'm like, well, no, I have mentors. I used to have mentors that had a lot of different skills, but now I have very skill-specific mentors where I need to get better at this lead generation online. So I hired someone who helps with this. I'm good at sales, but I need to get good at sales in direct message outbound. Okay, great. So how do we have a conversation through written word to sell? You got to have the specific. So you need to curate those skills. And Jono, I mean, that's where I don't want to take over for you here, because I would say, in my opinion, that's why I wanted to talk to you. And that's what you've done, is that you went from being the worst of the worst to literally figuring out every single skill that you needed to now being really one of the best. And I know from when I interviewed you, I asked you if you'll ever stop, and you said no, because you keep figuring things out and there's always more to do. So thank you for being you, man.
No, thank you for having me on.
Jono, where can people find you?
Best thing is my Facebook group, Fitness Education Online Community. Just type that in Facebook. Type that in any social media platform, but Facebook group is my best one, Fitness Education Online Community.
Beautiful. And then what is the name of your podcast? Because besides me being on there, which is obviously your best guest, I know Vincent Gabriel's been on there. You got a bunch of other incredible content there. What's your podcast?
Fitness Education Online Podcast. So I'm not Mr. Creative, so it's just any social media platform, Fitness Education Online.
Beautiful. Jono Petrohilos, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. You're awesome. I appreciate every moment of your time. And everyone, right now, it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Canada, and it is 8 o'clock in the morning for you.
There we go. Can't wait to start my day.
All right, Jono. Thanks so much, man. Have a wonderful one. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.